Good evening, I'm Jason Vio. This is CBC Windsor News. Thank you so much for watching. Tonight, plans for a multi-unit development in South Windsor is prompting some longtime neighbors to say they'll move if it goes ahead. Plus, more reaction tonight about the $15 billion battery plant deal in Windsor. A look at the public perception around that newly negotiated agreement. From the backyard to the big stage, there's a provincial cornhole championship in Essex this weekend. We'll take you there live in just a few moments. And as we know, Katerina Georgieva, our host here at CBC Windsor, is off for a year with a new baby. So the new host, you may know who she is already, but tonight we'll chat a little bit more with her and get to know who will be coming in the chair next. Well, there's a battle brewing in South Windsor. It centers on two houses a developer wants to knock down. He wants to put a three-story building in their place, and longtime neighbors say it's a terrible idea.
It would be absolutely devastating to the children who come from the schools around here. Not only the elementary schools, but Massey is here, and so is St. Clair.
I have to move if they do something, and I don't know where to go.
Now, Tessalem lives right next to these two properties. The owner wants to tear them down to make room for a multi-purpose building. This is at Casgrain and Cabana. Now, the development hasn't made its way to City Hall just yet, but the plans have been shared with the neighborhood. Now, this lot would become one three-story building. There would be commercial and retail space on the ground floor. The rest would be residential, 12 housing units total and 45 parking spaces on the site. Neighbors worry more people will mean more traffic.
The traffic around here, as the city well knows because they did a study, is terrible. They've tried to fix it. It has done some things, but to add more traffic from a three-story apartment building is absolute beyond belief and utter nonsense.
But city planning experts say this kind of development could become more common. City councils in Ontario have been making housing pledges to the province. Windsor has pledged to build 13,000 new housing units by 2031. Housing experts say one of the ways to hit that goal is through low-rise, mixed-use buildings. An urban designer and architect we spoke with says issues like this development will become all more common.
We need housing, and we need housing, wherever we can get it. But one of the things that I always try to stress is to understand exactly what you're getting. And I think part of the issue is that people are concerned that proposals that happen in their neighborhoods just won't fit in or will be out of scale with that neighborhood. And that's why, I've been a big proponent of sort of medium scale buildings, which I defined as around 3 to 5 stories, 6 to 15 units that can easily fit into neighborhoods. And we see it in neighborhoods around Windsor, from the West End, Sandwich Town. We see it in Fort City. We see it in Walkerville, and to some extent in Riverside. And so there's precedent in the city for these kinds of developments. I think one of the things that happens is that when things are proposed, the residents have no idea what it looks like. And I think that's a key consideration in these kinds of developments, is letting them know what they're getting.
Now, this project will eventually go to the city's Development and Heritage Standing Committee. The city will need to consider changing a zoning bylaw for the developer to build here. We'll certainly be keeping an eye on this story. One person has been arrested after an abduction and stabbing early this morning in Windsor. Police say it all happened around 1 a.m. here on Bruce Avenue between Park Street and University Avenue in the downtown core. Officers believe the 31-year-old man who was arrested entered the home, stabbed someone, and forcibly abducted a woman at knife point. Later on, he was arrested when he returned to that same home. He's been charged with assault, forcible confinement, and breaking and entering. Although the deal to secure the future of the Nexstar EV battery plant is now confirmed, there was a lot of tension between the parties involved. The CBC's TJ Deer looks closer at how that may have appeared from the outside and what questions the agreement may raise in Windsor moving forward.
Although Stellantis and LG Energy Solutions agreed to a deal to save the Nexstar EV battery plant, there was fear that it wouldn't happen and the 2,500 jobs tied to the plant and its spin-offs would disappear from Windsor. After almost 7 weeks, a deal was agreed between the company and the federal and provincial governments. However, the road seemed rocky when it was announced in May that construction on part of the plant would pause. Ottawa said Queen's Park had to step up and do its fair share to secure a deal, but Queen's Park said it was up to Ottawa to match incentives the U.S. was offering with its Inflation Reduction Act. In the end, Queen's Park capitulated, agreeing to provide a third of any deal with Stellantis and LG. A political expert believes that regarding public perception to Ford caving, voters can read between the lines.
I think they can see this for what it is, which is the support of a strategic industry at a time in which Canada was put in a difficult position by, a major statement by the United States that it was going to make a really signal investment in the supply chain, and so that put Canada in a difficult position. And both the Ford government and the Trudeau government stepped up and decided to make this strong investment.
Another political expert says public perception depends on where voters are based.
Obviously, it's going to make them look much more responsive to communities that rely on these jobs. However, it does make them vulnerable to the taxpayer because they're also the same people who said they were going to balance the books. So how they do both of those things simultaneously is going to be the real challenge.
Both Allen and Miljan say that this deal, and the deal Ottawa and Queen's Park made with Volkswagen, are precedents in terms of companies gaining massive investment through government assistance. The Volkswagen deal is worth $13 billion in subsidies, while the deal for the Windsor EV battery plant is worth up to $15 billion in tax breaks. An urban planning expert says deals like these raises more questions about other parts of the city, particularly real estate.
What is that subsidy going to do for an already stretched and increasingly inaccessible housing market, especially for workers? A union salary and benefits isn't what it used to be, right? Even 10 years ago.
With construction on the plant fully resumed, those questions will soon be answered. TJ Deere, CBC News, Windsor.
There's an upcoming decision that could see the Roseland Curling Club torn down. It's been open since 1979 and has been a special place for many. The CBC's Tyler Clapp has that story.
Those looking to unwind on the ice may have to find new digs. Discussions on what to do with curling at Roseland are set to go before council on August 8th, according to councillor Gary Kazchak. The process began back in 2020 when the club's previous board of directors endorsed a plan suggesting the building be demolished. Advocate Ben Ionetta says demolishing the rink would have a ripple effect.
It would be a tragic loss. I don't feel that people understand the kind of value that this facility provides, especially for our aging population and our youth. It's a sport that keeps our older community quite active in the wintertime when there's not a lot to do.
Ionetta and other advocates looking to keep curling at Roseland recently dropped off a petition with more than 2,300 signatures to City Hall. Kazchak, meantime, is also the chair of Roseland's board of directors and says the building's condition poses real challenges.
It's become somewhat run down. We've got a lot of expenses with the HVAC and electricity and whatnot, and it's just too big of a building at 50,000 square feet for what we need moving forward.
At an information session held at the club in May, some suggestions included moving curling to a new arena and renovating the building. Ionetta says he wants to keep curling at Roseland.
Just simply pushing us to an arena may not provide the support that a community like this needs to thrive. And so I know that we made that clear. We haven't heard anything back from the city, but we're waiting for whatever report the city administration puts forward.
One local hockey association is concerned about ice time if curling is shifted to an existing arena. Anne-Marie Schofield, president of Riverside Minor Hockey League, told CBC News, "We, as ice users, are very nervous about any possible disruption to youth schedules and hours if the curling club needs a home that would displace us. All one needs to do is remember the issues during FINA and how badly the ice groups were affected. We hope that the city finds that the only viable solution is to work with Roseland to allow them to retain their current home. Exactly what option that will be recommended to council is unknown, and again, the issue is expected to be tabled at council August 8th. Tyler Clapp, CBC News, Windsor.
The game of cornhole, or beanbag toss, turns out to be bigger than just a backyard game. It has official teams. The American Cornhole League's Ontario Provincials are being held right now in Essex, and that's where we find Lamia Abuzaid live at the Essex Arena for the festival. Lamia, how many people are at this thing that's going on right behind you?
Jason, there's about 104 people signed up for this evening's tournament. And I'm sure you know what cornhole is, but for those who don't, all you need is a beanbag, a wooden board slightly tilted with a hole in it, and all you need to do is throw it with the hopes of getting it in the hole for a point. While most of us take it as a backyard social activity, the people here want to take it to the next level.
Oh, the future of this game is astronomical. It's increasing in popularity at such a rate that we all foresee this game becoming recognized as an international sport and moving towards Olympic recognition. So you can see this game in this sport in the Olympics very soon.
So they would like to see it in the Summer Olympics of 2028 happening in Los Angeles.
Lamia, that would be pretty neat to see, and to think that we could see cornhole at the upcoming Olympics will be pretty fun. But how did some of the athletes behind you there get into this?
So you'll believe it, one of the board members was actually a wrestler. Take a listen to how he got into this.
I found some guys and we started playing some baseball together, and then we were just looking for something to play during the winter months when we couldn't play baseball. We found cornhole. I think it's the camaraderie amongst everyone. There's a huge following for cornhole. As I said, it's growing hugely across the world, not only just here in Canada. So it's just getting around and playing and still doing something at a competitive level. So we're here in Essex for the Ontario Championships, and some of the best players in all of Canada are here playing this weekend.
So this tournament is happening till Sunday, but also take this. A team of 4 from Canada will actually be going to Paris, France in September for the World Championship.
That's amazing. And Lamia, I'm going to put you on the spot. You have a beanbag in your hand. There's a board around you. I'm going to say, why don't you just take a throw?
Let's do this. Okay.
There we go.
I'm gonna stick with backyard cornhole. They can go to the Olympics.
There we go. A bit more practice, I think you'll get the hole. Thanks so much, Lamia. And staying with fun news here at CBC Windsor, tonight we're introducing you to CBC Windsor's new host. She's new to the position, but not to this station. Meg Roberts started here as a reporter in 2016, and she will be filling in for Katerina Georgieva while she's off on parental leave for the next year.
If you've ever spent time away from wherever you call home, you know how special it is coming back, and I get to experience that in a big way today. My name is Meg Roberts, and I'll be filling in for Katerina Georgieva on the host desk while she's off on parental leave for the next year.
And this as well, it's a pretty big deal to me because I grew up right here on a 40-acre farm in the heart of Essex County. I went to a tiny little grade school that was right down the road.
Later, kicking soccer balls around the University of Windsor, eventually graduating with a journalism degree. A story about dead ducks landed me here at CBC Windsor as a reporter. I later moved to tell stories in the most eastern part of the country and then the most populated, which makes coming back to Canada's most southern point even sweeter. Windsor, Essex is made up of diverse communities with unique stories much like mine and my family's, but also perhaps way different. It's a place where rich history butts up against changing populations, changing industries, and changing environments. And I couldn't be more thrilled to once again have the opportunity to tell those stories, the stories that make up my home and tens of thousands of others. So you've had the opportunity to meet me. I would love to meet you. You can flip me an email at meg.roberts@cbc.ca if you have a story that you think should be told. And in the meanwhile, I'll be right here at 6 o'clock.
And joining us live now for more is the Meg Roberts. Ta-da! It's so strange, but so amazing to have you back, because you and I worked together before when you were here. How does it feel to be back?
It feels amazing. I'm so thrilled to be back. This is a real full circle moment for me, obviously. Me and also my family. I know my grandparents are giving me a call right after this. Yeah, when I was about 12 years old, we watched the 6 o'clock news, CBC Windsor News, every night. And when I was 12, I remember looking at the anchors and being like, oh my gosh, maybe one day I can do that. And now is one day. So I just couldn't be more thrilled to be back in my hometown, to tell stories that matter to lots of people, and of course work with the great staff here.
Now each host, myself included, and even journalists who kind of have their own style, their own vibe. How would you describe yours?
Well, I would consider my style, and I hope the viewers can, definitely make this opinion opinion for themselves, but I think I have a warm style, and I really want to convey that to people who are tuning in. I really want people to enjoy themselves at 6 o'clock. I want them to feel like we're somewhat in their homes. The other kind of aspect to that is, I also think there's an element of accountability, and I'm not shy to do that either. So I'm hoping to kind of mesh the two, and I just really want, the show to represent so many different people across the city and so many different walks of life, and I hope that they get that out of the next year.
And speaking of walks of life, you've been kind of out east in St. John's and then back in Toronto, a big city. You must have like such a good perspective and some new perspectives that you're coming back to Windsor with.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no greater place in Canada, and I feel so fortunate to have spent time in so many different places and meeting so many Canadians. The best part of going away, though, is the feeling of coming home. So as much as I'm so grateful for those experiences and the stories that I got to tell, I couldn't be more pleased to be here.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
And still to come here on CBC News, we'll have more of Meg Roberts in the third block of the show, but next we'll have your weather forecast coming up as well. Stay with us. Fireworks are certainly a treat for the eyes, and they make holidays and special events that much more festive. The Ford fireworks, Canada Day, Independence Day earlier this week, we see a lot of them this time of year, but are they bad for your health? Here's your answer.
When fireworks explode in the sky, chemical reactions occur to produce these wonderful visual displays of different colors. However, a variety of things are released. You can think about the typical gases such as sulfur dioxide, NOxes, similar to vehicle exhaust from a car. These things can react in the atmosphere and cause pollution at the ground surface. You can also have pollutants such as metals, and so when a firework explodes and you see these beautiful colors, those are individual metals that produce this color. Copper will produce that bluish greenish color, and something like barium will produce a green color, strontium a kind of a red color, calcium and sodium will produce something that's more akin to the oranger colors in the fireworks. The calcium and the sodium, we liberally apply those as fertilizers, but something like strontium and copper and even barium, we don't really want those in high concentrations. Those are the ones that have a higher toxicity to us. You can even find that in some countries, things like lead and chromium have been banned for their use. You can also get things like particulate matter, so that really small material that's left in the atmosphere. And that can be really challenging because it's small enough for us to be able to inhale it and cause damage to the lungs deeper down. And that can be a challenge when we're emitting things into the atmosphere. The level can be maybe 100, 500 times above what is considered guideline. You can also have the chemicals such as perchlorate, which is the oxidizer in a firework, and that is released into the atmosphere and then will get washed out into the rivers and water systems, and that can be really dangerous for our ecosystems. Everything that goes up into the atmosphere, generally speaking, comes back down again. Some people might say that fireworks only produce a temporary condition in the environment and then it blows away and it's not a problem anymore. Doing that over repeated periods of time can have a big impact for those that are vulnerable to poor air quality. If you keep depositing it over a series of years, you'll hit that critical point where you'll start to have a problem with the concentration in the soils and in the water systems. So what options do we have? We can, obviously continue to design better fireworks, and we can kind of transition away from fireworks to using things like drones. My feeling really is that we need to regulate and control who's setting off fireworks and where they're setting them off, because people aren't aware of the environmental damages associated with it.
Still to come, Colette Kennedy is standing by live with a full look at your weather forecast, and Meg Roberts will come back live in the studio with us as well. Stay with us. Time now for a live look at weather, and for that we go to the Colette Kennedy. Colette, I must say today, stepping outside, it was much nicer, a bit cooler, maybe refreshing is a good way to describe it.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to describe it. Nice to get rid of that heat warning and see much more comfortable air move in. And that was the case for most of southern Ontario. I say that because if you check out the daytime highs towards the nation's capital there, Ottawa at 29, and the Humidex value there was 36. So still in a heat warning in that kind of small section of eastern Ontario, but otherwise it has been dropped because those dew points have come down and things are so much more comfortable. So here we stand, 25 degrees, 23 Chatham-Kent, 22 right now for Sarnia and for London. And when we put the Humidex value into play, you notice something, no 30s showing up here. So about 10 degrees lower than, or 10 lower than what they were the last few days. So really great there. Satellite radar imagery, what we have here are clear conditions. So for now, we're under the influence of high pressure. And I put the emphasis on for now because we are going to be seeing some changes as we work our way into the weekend. So through the overnight hours, we'll kind of keep mostly these conditions, but watch as we get closer towards tomorrow morning. First, it's going to start as some high thin clouds. So the beginning of the day still could be pretty good or just becoming kind of variable, a little bit hazy. And then we'll see those clouds getting a little bit heavier. And then we go into the afternoon, and that's when we'll see the greater risk of getting into not only some rain showers, but pockets of some heavier rain because of the risk of some thunderstorms in here. Okay, so that's, I know the chances are in the morning, but really that's into tomorrow afternoon. Goes towards early evening, then we should have a bit of a break and things improve a little bit. But I just want you to watch because on the back end here, a few little isolated showers still have to pop through. Sunday, watch what happens here. So we have a little bit of cloud that clears, things looking pretty good, but there'll be just a bit of humidity, just a bit of a lift that we could see isolated thunderstorm kind of pop up. Mostly, I think we're going to do pretty good on Sunday, and so I kept those numbers in terms of the chance of getting into precipitation. I've kept those pretty low. So some of the overnight temperatures towards 6 a.m., it's back towards 21. I do think we're actually going to dip down here closer to the upper teens, but we rebound very, very quickly. So those numbers warming up. A little different story towards Sarnia, closer to the lake there, where you're going to see those readings in the mid-teens. So the other thing that is different tomorrow is look at the daytime high, 24 degrees with that chance of those afternoon and early evening showers and thunderstorms. A bit of humidity, not too bad. I put 30% chance into Sunday, okay? Things not looking bad there either. 25, and then we do start to warm up, Jason, as we get into next week. And not only warm up, the humidity will begin to climb again, too.
It's back. It's like a roller coaster ride.
It is. And we say, oh, that in spring, we say it in fall, but now it's summer. It's all the time.
There we go. Thanks so much, Colette.
You're welcome.
And as promised, the CBC's Meg Roberts is back in studio. No, our show doesn't have two hosts. This is a one-night exclusive, unfortunately. I'm sure we could if we would, but we can't.
We wish.
We wish.
Thank you.
So I'm sure that you've been away from Windsor for about, I don't know, 7 years?
Yeah, we're coming like six.
Yeah, six, 7 years.
Yeah.
What are some things you've missed?
Oh, this is a good question. I'm a big Motown girl. So, you know, I have my radio station, my Detroit radio station that I love listening to. I'm really looking forward to that. Essex County corn. I can't wait to have Essex County corn this summer. I've been a lot of places. I have never had corn like that in my life. I'm really looking forward to that. And I mentioned before my grandparents. I'm really excited to spend some time, you know, with my grandparents. They mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
Picnics by the water. I'm really looking forward to doing some of those things.
Yeah, Windsor pizza. You came back just in time for the humidity. I mean, you're back for it all.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the good and some bad.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, well, thanks so much, Meg.
Thank you.
I guess we don't have a baton. I'm officially passing the baton to you here. You can close out the show for us here. Give it one final whirl before you start on Monday. Give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, go to our website. You can also check us out on social media. Have a great night.
Have a great weekend.